Oh, yeah, all right. It is Thursday, January 18th in the United States of America, and this is What Chaos. I'm Sean DePaz, DJ Bean is in Chicago, and I'm Pete Blackburn. How are you, Dave?
That's right, Pete.
That's right, Gretzky.
Thanks for having me.
Wait, no, hold on. You said that you are both DJ and me. And Pete's DJ. No, you said you're me and you just didn't. I don't think I was somebody. I don't think I existed.
That's right. You got
it. All sounded right to me. I'll tell you.
No,
DJ
was two people and you were a person, which means you were both Sean DePaz and Pete Blackburn.
Right.
Sean, Pete is DJ.
Sean, I've known Dave my entire life, and he is more than two people.
That's
he
right.
Is,
I don't know.
So many people.
I'm
like Dwight.
That I'm the one that's being erased here. I'm not going to throw any accusations out or anything, but I've taken note.
Didn't Dwight say he resorbed his twin brother in the womb?
Yeah.
That's me.
Resorbed.
I think that's the word he used. He was like, I resorbed. I think that's what he said. It was incredible. Do you remember that game? You guys ever played that game like Fishy? It was a computer game. It was one of those time-wasting games.
Oh, yeah. You would eat the smaller fish, but if you ran into a bigger fish, you'd die and game over. Yes.
Correct.
Incredible game.
You know, Sean Dursey probably knows a thing or two about that because he knows all about wildlife and the food chain. So it teaches a good lesson. But, yeah, one of those.
I'll tell you what. I had a dream last night that I ran into Willie Nylander at a bar, and I had to have the discussion, do you respect the troops? And in my dream, he was very, very he found it very funny. I don't know if that's the reality, but Willie Nylander,
I bet he would.
Dream Willie Nylander had a good laugh at the clip.
I bet he would. I had a dream a couple nights ago that I was in the starting five for the Celtics in a playoff game, and KG was on the team, and like everything else in life was still the same. I was still the same person I am normally, and like all my friends, as they are in real life, are big Celtics fans, and I was really pissed and embarrassed that I was gonna get smoked. I was like, I don't even know what a pick and roll is. I still think I don't know what that is. I'm a huge basketball fan. I don't know the first thing about basketball though, and that was a horrifying nightmare for me. So
I'll tell you what, KG would eat you alive. Like
as a teammate, if I sucked,
yes. Even if you were good, I think he would still eat you alive. Like you always call yourself like a bitch boy, beta cuck, whatever thing. Like KG would sniff that out so fast, and he would just destroy you mentally.
I'd be asking for it from the second.
Yeah.
Hiya, Kevin. I'm Deej. I think we're gonna win some games together. He'd be like, "Oh fuck no."
Trade this guy immediately.
I realized before we did the show, I always jump on the first topic with "We start with," and I was like, I know that's from something. It's Chris Berman. And then Sean pointed out, he was like, not only is it Chris Berman, the Pardon My Take guys do that when they do their Chris Berman thing. So usually if something's like a found discovery thing, I don't feel bad about being like, oh, well, we all do this sort of thing. I'm going to think, yeah. I don't have it yet, but I'm going to think of a way to jump into the first topic. It's probably going to end up being something that like Mike Greenberg or something does. But let's just begin the show. Hey, let's kick it off.
That doesn't hit as hard, I'll tell you what.
Let's kick it off.
You got to hit the workshop. Doesn't hit as hard.
What if we put some like reverb on my voice and get some crowd noise and everything and be like, well, it's another NHL season. Sydney, can you believe you're doing it? Connor, you're gonna have a good career.
Do like a Michael Buffer type, like, and now.
But you know I'm not a Buffer head.
I know. You should.
I'm a huge Buffer guy.
I'm a huge
really?
Buffer guy.
Well, which Buffer are we talking?
That's the thing.
I mean,
Like, there's so
either
many of
one,
them.
either one. Like, I'm a big fan of doing as much as you possibly can with like a little. And like those guys aren't insanely talented, but the fact that they've gotten very rich off of just doing like a very gimmicky, easy thing. Shout out to them boys.
Respect. Of all the names that we just said, you know who I probably like the most? Mike Greenberg. I love
Greenberg
that guy.
rocks, man. I watched a little bit of First Take yesterday, and that show just is the fucking best.
It's incredible. Yesterday, that was a Mad Dog Wednesday. How'd you like it?
It was a Mad Dog Wednesday, and this is a little grab-assy here, but Mad Dog's career is so fascinating to me. Like, was the biggest shit on radio, I believe, right, in New York for like decades. Was so popular. Then seemed like when radio was dying, his career seemed like it was dying. He was doing just like these like weekly spots where they'd kind of force him in. I think he had a baseball show on MLB Network, and when I would watch that show, I'd be like, who the fuck is this guy? I hate him. He's so annoying. And now I can't get enough of Mad Dog, man. He has had like a renaissance like you've never seen before in the last couple years. And shout out to him. That's such a hard thing to do as like an old white guy getting back into the game. So all the respect in the world to Russo.
And he goes on that show and he does a little grab ass, but he's not like hitting on Molly as much as Stephen A is. And like
he hasn't lost his audience. He still does like the old man, like sports takes kind of thing
and I'll tell you what, if he tried a little harder, he'd be a lot better. That's right. John Morant, his problem is he doesn't try.
He, this past summer, said that if the Arizona Diamondbacks beat the Philadelphia Phillies in the NLCS, he would retire. The Diamondbacks proceeded to do that, and he didn't retire. He doesn't stand on business, so I can't respect him like that.
Oh, well, that's a real sports talk radio host, just like saying shit and then being like
not standing by it. Yeah, I know.
My favorite thing about Mad Dog is that I feel like he's gonna spit on me through the TV every time he talks, because he does he has like wet lips and he does like the popping with like the way that he speaks. I feel like I'm gonna get caught with some stray spit every time he goes on a tangent.
I've said this to you privately, Peter. You know who I think is hot?
Who?
Mad Dog Russo. I think that like he's had a glow up in that. For probably the first time in 35 years, he wears suits. I can't imagine he was putting on too many suits in his previous jobs, just going into the studio, knocking out a few hours of radio. He is like styled. And I know that he says on the air that his wife picks out his clothes and everything. Bullshit. Like he has got a, what do they call a fucking person who picks out your clothes?
Stylist?
There you go. He's got
That's a wild thing to
his
do
hair
for
looks good.
Know.
He's got a style.
I was gonna point out, I love his hair. He's got like the mid to long-ish, like kind of getting long, but it's perfectly styled and it's got like a little bit of like curated messiness to him. Oh, love that guy.
I think he's a bit of a hottie. We kick off the show with the Detroit Red Wings. They're back. They keep going away and then they keep coming back. They're just one streaky ass team. They've had 5 streaks of at least 3 wins and 3 streaks of at least 3 losses. They are currently on a 3-game win streak. They've won 6 of 7 and have points in all 7 of those games. 6-0-1. They came back to beat the Panthers on the road last night. They're doing this all, by the way, without Patrick Kane, who is out with a lower body injury that is not the hip. But the Red Wings, they're doing it, man.
I'm fascinated by the Red Wings. They're such a streaky team. They're kind of all over the place. We haven't really even talked about Patrick Kane since he signed in Detroit, but like he's been good.
16 points in 9 games. In 19
yeah,
games.
like
sorry.
That team is really, really interesting to me because like if you look under the hood, they've got some serious problems, but they're also like they've got some serious things to prop themselves up on too. I was looking at some of the numbers this morning. Like they're a really, really good offensive team. I think they're a top 3 offensive team at 5-on-5 in terms of goal scoring, but they're also a bottom 3 defensive team. But if you look a little bit deeper, like they're a terrible possession team this year, but they're not giving up high danger opportunities. They're really kind of limiting stuff to the outside. A lot of those calories are kind of empty calories, low danger shots that they're giving up. They're just like they're really capitalizing on the opportunities that they get.
Why can't I think of the former Penguins and Canadians coach who coached the Canadians multiple times? French guy, angry fella.
Michel Therrien?
Michel Therrien. Right. They're like a Michel Therrien team.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, cool, tuck yourselves out. Have the puck
Yep.
all you want. As soon as we get it, we're going to go the other way and score. It's like an anti-Oilers type of thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is like, expend your energy, get your shots from the outside, and once you get a little gassed, we're taking it the other way and we're going to score.
They're most likely going to finish third in the Atlantic, I would say, or in one of the wild card spots. I think that in the Atlantic, famous last words, I think Florida and Boston are pretty safe at the top. I don't think that anyone's really going to catch them. The Red Wings have played as many games as the Panthers and are, I want to say, 7 points behind them. Doesn't sound like a ton, but in this crazy game of hockey, that's in less than half a season, it's tough to catch a good team that's 7 points ahead of you. So they're probably going to finish, I would say, third in the Atlantic or in a wild card spot. I don't know if they're necessarily a make a run team, but they are a take the step team. I think the Patrick Kane experiment has been certainly positive. It's been net positive, but right now they're doing it without him, which speaks to the fact that they can score goals without this geezer ass.
Yeah. Did they leapfrog the Leafs last night with that win?
Yeah, but
Okay.
let me check on the points per game front, because I think, they have more points. They have 51 points in 44 games. Toronto has 50 points in 42 games. Toronto operating at a 595 clip. Detroit at 580. So if the season were to end today, you would see the Leafs in the third spot and the Red Wings as a wild card team.
That's interesting, but I mean, I'm curious to see like what the Wings do closer to the deadline if they're in this position, right? Because they have some things that you would maybe want to address. Wonder if they maybe they're getting like league average goaltending. I don't know how much I trust their goaltending, especially down the stretch, but they're getting league average goaltending. I'm curious just because like Steve Yzerman has always preached patience and doesn't really take swings just for the hell of taking swings, and he always tends to keep an eye on the bigger picture. So I'm curious to see what their approach will be at the deadline, if they're kind of in a position to be in a playoff spot and to kind of maybe take a chance at making a run.
They're also doing this without Jake Wallman, I should note. And I was going to complain that while the Red Wings are in one of their streaks, because they're such a streaky team, they haven't been stupid or annoying, and that's my only complaint about them. I do want some stupid stuff. So if the team wants to put out another gravy boat, or do a silly giveaway, or a Wallman gritty bobblehead again, some sort of grab-assy thing, because what I do like about the Red Wings is that they run hot and cold, and they're always top of mind for Reddit purposes. And they're not really doing that right
The
now.
Wallman bobblehead is on Sunday. It hasn't come out yet, so it's.
I was going to
this weekend
say.
it's coming out. Yeah.
I was going to say, I was just watching a Red Wings game. It wasn't the one last night, but it was recently, and they were promoting the Jake Wallman bobblehead night, and I was like, that hasn't happened yet? It's crazy.
It's called building up some buzz. I like that.
I guess it seems like old news at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, it takes a while to get the bobbleheads produced and all that, so it's not like you could really do it in the immediate aftermath of the actual gritty, right?
Yeah, fair. This was a TNT game. It was supposed to be Sabres-Hawks last night, but because of weather in Buffalo, if you listen to the show What Chaos, it means you're also a football fan, because we talked a lot of football yesterday. If you're a What Chaos fan, you probably know that there is all sorts of weather shit that is messing things up in Buffalo. The wild card game between the Bills and the Steelers got postponed because of weather. This same thing happened with the Hawks and Sabres yesterday. Travel was tough because of weather. So they had to, TNT, broadcast the Red Wings and the Panthers, but TNT's broadcast crew was already in Buffalo, so the studio show had to call the Red Wings and the Panthers. And I'll tell you what, I made some bets on that game. I plopped my butt down on the couch. I was very excited to see Liam and Biz and Hank and AC, the whole squad, call this game. And I'll be honest, I speak very honestly about those folks because I kiss their asses all the time. Not enough grab ass for me. It wasn't very grab assy.
Well, I mean, like, it's a weird position to be in. I'm sure it wasn't very comfortable for those guys doing something extremely out of the norm. I didn't get to catch it. A little bit disappointed in that. But I did see that Anson Carter said that he met his wife when a game was postponed due to a snowstorm, which I found very funny.
That's very, it's romantic. It's not funny.
I mean, nothing's more romantic than a nice cozy snowstorm and meeting up with somebody in a city that, like, you're just visiting. Very funny to me.
You're snowed in. It's the if you've ever seen the famous film 2 Night Stand, you know that sometimes when you're snowed in with somebody, that's when sparks fly.
Is that a Miles Teller joint?
Yes. Miles Teller.
Miles, Michael B. Jordan, Zac Efron? Or was that a different one?
That's that awkward moment.
Ah, yes. That's an incredible movie. I love that movie.
The 2 Night Stand is Miles Teller and formerly, I think Anna Tipton was their name, but let's see. 2 Night Stand. Leo Tipton. Great movie.
Okay.
Great movie.
Okay.
They fall in love.
I'll have to revisit that one.
Yeah, but Biz did say at one point that in the first period that the Red Wings were getting bent over.
Yeah, that's what
and Liam was like,
up.
all right.
He definitely had someone in his ear because like 10 seconds after he said that, he's like, oh, I guess I almost said a bad word. And
well,
they were like, no, you just said something you can't really say.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I had a maybe one of the funniest slip-ups in my TV career yesterday when I was doing in studio live the rally out here in Chicago. I was talking about my Bruins fandom, and I meant to say that I am the biggest Bruins homer and Bobo in the world, and I accidentally said I am the biggest Bruins homo in the world, and had a real good laugh about that one. Yeah, that's right. I had a real good laugh about that one. The clip is probably out there somewhere, so if anybody wants to find it, you can find me being very embarrassed at the slip-up that I had.
What channel is that on?
Stadium?
Yeah, what channel is Stadium? Like where?
I mean, like,
is it?
You can watch it online, but like here it gets here and a bunch of other places it gets kind of like distributed through like channels that we don't have in Boston. So I don't know what the answer is.
Well, I always watch the rally in Phoenix on Bally's, on the Bally channel.
Oh, yeah, like
so
I know that
I
know they're on the Bally, all the Bally channels, but there's also like non-Bally cities, like here in Chicago, like it's on TV, but I don't know what channel it's on in Chicago.
Well, you're never going to beat when on the same night Hank Aaron died and the Red Sox traded for Kike Hernandez, and I ended a segment with Aaron Hernandez died. Very sad. We'll be right back.
Oh my God.
And I said, like, Aaron Hernandez, rest in peace. And the producers were like, be cool. You're probably going to get some emails. Relax. You just expressed some like great sadness over Aaron Hernandez.
Was that pre or post Aaron Hernandez, us knowing about that guy?
I was not in the mood to make light of it at the time, but everything I said was technically correct at that point.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So Aaron Hernandez had already died.
Yeah, RIP'd.
Another highlight from the TNT broadcast, by the way. I think a lot of people probably missed it, but early on before the game, they had Anson between the glass. They had like these barriers between him, like he was going to be and at one point Biz was like, "Oh, you're doing play-by-play," and he was like, "No, I'm doing color," and he just got stopped for a second. He's like, "No pun intended," and I don't think anyone realized.
I saw that.
I found it fucking hilarious.
I don't know if nobody realized it. I think it was like, we're white. What do we?
Well, yeah,
like, what are we supposed to say to that?
It at all. And why am I blanking on the host name?
Liam.
Liam?
Yes, of course. Yeah,
The disrespect.
I was just blanking
How
on his
dare
name.
you.
I know his name, but he noticed because he just stopped with his he just sat there with his mouth open and just looked around, being like, no one is going to acknowledge that. But I appreciate it.
I think there's a lot. We've had this conversation privately, Sean, but I think that like a lot of white people are like afraid to say like black
Yes.
or race
Yes.
or anything. Like they like even the term like racial scares them.
Yes. I mean, this is a slightly different situation because
Not to say that's what these guys are doing.
Well,
but
no.
like,
And in this specific situation, I think they were more afraid of the color, like the word color or colored. And that is a little different, obviously, than black. So I appreciate their fear in that situation, but it is very. And I just found it funny because I appreciate when someone like Anson or me makes other people in the hockey space uncomfortable like that.
did you see what my dear friend Gerard Mayo said yesterday in his press conference?
That was the best. That was
I
so
cannot
funny.
believe there was fallout from that.
Oh, I mean, of
It was
course,
so
it was.
funny.
Of
Well,
course
so
it
I think
was.
Pete, you're talking about the name thing, right?
Yeah.
Robert Kraft fucked up one of Gerard Mayo's family members' names, and
He was
Mayo
like, it's
was
okay.
like,
It's one of those black names. I got you.
yeah.
It's like, oh my God. I want to say, like, I saw that clip in a tweet, and I saw the like the quote was at the top before anything else, and seeing like the thumbnail of Robert Kraft sitting next to Gerard Mayo and reading that quote, I was like, oh no. Like my first assumption was that Robert Kraft had said that's one of those black names, and I was like, oh no, because Robert Kraft is so old at this point. Where like,
but Robert Kraft did say though, and they were like, Robert, how do you feel about hiring a black coach? And he was like, well, like I love Gerard. This is a very important thing for us to have a black coach and everything. But I hired the best coach. He just so happens to be, I think he said like a colored fella or something.
oh
And I was
no,
like,
ain't no way.
and that's not like racist or anything, but like nobody that's just like not terminology that anybody uses anymore.
Yeah, no,
It's not appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of racist. It's a little.
Yeah, it's
a
not
little-
appropriate.
So maybe he
anymore.
said like a man of color or something.
Oh, okay.
Even so,
I mean, that's
like,
different. Yes.
Well, that's different. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, calling someone colored and a man of color hit incredibly differently.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
for sure. For
I
sure.
think it was the latter. I'm sorry.
Okay, if it was the
Okay,
latter,
yes.
then it's a little. I mean, generally speaking, like
Also attaching the fella to the end of it made it sound way more racist too. Like you did no
now I'm gonna
favors with that
apologize to Robert
description.
Kraft because I think I just put fella in his mouth because like old people say the word fella. So I apologize to him there.
I mean, it's
But-
better than him being like, "I hired a boy of color" or something like that.
Oh,
right.
God,
It could have
Jesus.
gotten. It could have been way worse. Honestly, as long as Robert Kraft isn't using the N word or any rich white billionaire, I'm gonna take that as a W.
But the thing with Mayo and that like fun exchange that they had in the beginning of the press conference, because that was right at the beginning of the press conference, that is, I don't know how to like properly gush about Gerard Mayo, but and that's just saying like, because I don't want to sound like I'm being like a huge Patriots honk or whatever, but Mayo, I used to work with him.
Huge
and he is-
Patriots homo.
Yeah. Mayo is possibly the smartest person. Like him and Jack Edwards, I think, are like the two most brilliant people I've encountered in this stupid ass field. Like people who could just be doing anything else. And fortunately, they're hanging out with us jamokes. The way that Mayo was in that moment is just him in a nutshell. He gives everybody the same amount of respect and the same amount of like, I'm going to fuck with you a little bit. He's a super funny guy. He's a super relatable guy. Everybody's going to like him. Everybody, I think that players are going to fucking worship that guy. And I think that he's going to be a really good coach. I know that like some Patriots fans want somebody more experienced or whatever, but like I absolutely love Gerard Mayo. But no, the thing that he had said was he was like, I see color. I think it's important to see color because if you don't see color, then you don't see racism. And I want people to be able to see that, which is like a very succinct, eloquent thing to say. And I saw a bunch of like dumb white sports chuds being like, oh, so I guess no white people should want to work for the Patriots. And I was like, you shouldn't want to work for the Patriots, you dummy. Okay. So that's football conversation. Yeah, on the TNT thing, I thought was going to be a little more fuckery The biggest surprise of the whole thing was that Liam said he'd never done play-by-play before.
Agreed. I don't know how you get there without
not
doing
to stereotype there, but I was like, Liam strikes us as a guy who probably did like a lot of college play-by-play, something
100%.
like that.
I heard that and I was floored because it just seems like something you kind of just do at some point in college. Like if you're going to be a broadcaster, like especially at like a main anchor, you've done play-by-play at some point.
Yeah,
Or at
I've
least
done
have taken a
play-by-play.
class or something. Yeah, like I took a play-by-play class in college.
I don't know. Like those are two very like different jobs, you know.
Yeah, but
to
I
be
just-
like a studio host or like a host period. I would expect him more to have like experience as an anchor, like a news anchor,
but
more
like,
than a play-by-play guy.
I don't know. I feel like for me in school, like I did news anchor stuff. It was just one of those like if you want to be on camera or like behind a microphone, you just do all the in front of a camera behind the microphone stuff. And that was like a big one. I mean, I don't know where he went to school either. That also probably changes it. But I did play-by-play stuff, and I never intended on being play-by-play.
Want to hear
in front of camera.
Want to hear some real nerdy shit that I did when I was a kid? I was like had some early aspirations of maybe being like a baseball play-by-play guy, and I used to fucking put on full simulation MVP baseball games, and I would set up a recorder and I would do play-by-play of the baseball games on video games.
I mean,
it's
nerdier
the lamest thing that I've ever done in my life.
I would go to minor
shout out
league
to
baseball
me.
games by myself and record myself doing play-by-play.
Really?
Yeah,
Hell yeah,
that's
brother.
way nerdier. Yeah, I that's you're a man after my own heart, Pete.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, Rudy used to do that.
Who used to do it?
Rudy.
Rudy? Like the
I ain't
football
talking about the Cosby Show. I ain't talking about Rudy Huxtable. Who do you think I'm talking about?
football player?
Yeah.
Football player.
the movie
quote
Rudy?
unquote football player. I've seen the movie, but like years and years and years ago.
Kid was so sexually attracted to Notre Dame, he would put on like Notre Dame games and announce them. To me though, like how is that any different? And I'm late for an ad read, but how is that any different than me going in my room, putting on a fucking Led Zeppelin song and playing along to it? I don't think that that's any less cool or whatever.
I don't know. I mean, like at least like I don't know. You're like you're playing music, like you're covering music. It's super nerdy to like practice. I don't know. It feels very nerdy, especially with a video game, to practice play-by-play.
Hey, I think whatever keeps you off the streets, Pete, is
That's right.
okay in my book. I'd rather you playing those videos than doing God knows what you could be doing out there. It's very dangerous. Tell you what, my body is a temple. I say it all the time. The only thing that goes in this body is clean stuff, clean living, clean drinking, clean eating, quick eating. Eating quick? No. Eating things that I made quickly. I take my Factor meals, which are so delicious and made with clean, good ingredients. I pop them in the microwave for what? Slashing? High sticking? Yeah, but I ain't talking about drawn blood. No double minor there. Just 2 minutes and my meal is ready, and it doesn't have any junk ingredients. It feels good. And if you're the type that wants to do either, I mean, everybody's different. Some people do 2 big meals a day, 3 big meals a day, 4 small meals a day. Factor can kind of be anything because it's not an overwhelming amount of food, but everything is so good and so rich that with this plate that fits in the microwave, you do feel full, and for a while because it's got good ingredients. That's my experience anyway. I also love their smoothies. That mango one is my favorite. It's so tasty, so Lalo Salamanca voice, flavorful. It's delicious. So if you want to be like me, you can head to factormeals.com/whatchaos50 and use code whatchaos50 to get 50% off. That's code whatchaos50 at factormeals.com/whatchaos50 to get 50% off. Pete, it is a huge night in hockey this evening. A huge night, I tell you, because tonight, my Edmonton Oilers go for their 12th straight victory, which would be the longest in franchise history because 11, which is where they currently are, is the longest in franchise history. Wayne Gretzky could never. This is all about Evan Bouchard, Zach Hyman, Darnell Nurse, Stu Skinner, Leon Draisaitl. Oh, and did I fail to mention Ryan Nugent-Hopkins? all the boys, even Connor McDavid, going 4-12 tonight. They do it against the Seattle Kraken, who have lost 2 straight, I believe, after winning 9 straight. The chain fucked them up, Pete. The Kraken have the chain. They got the chain over. It's the chain hangover. And now the Oilers are ready to eat that ass.
And I don't know if you mentioned, I kind of blacked out there. It's a playoff rematch, is it not? Did the Kraken face the Oilers?
Oilers played the Kings, and then who they play in the first round?
I don't know. That seems so long.
I don't think they played the Kraken.
Yeah, I could be wrong. Then okay,
actually,
but
no, they played the Kings in the first round. It went 6, I want to say.
I don't know. This is good stuff, though. I'm excited for that game as well.
Oilers started against the Kings, yeah.
And then who'd they play? Then they played the Knights in the conference final. Who'd they play in between?
Last year?
Yeah.
Well, this is
Kraken had the Avalanche.
This bracket that they have on CBS Sports says that the Oilers played the Kings, and then they played the Knights in the
second round
semis, and then they played Dallas in the conference finals.
Dallas
played the Kraken before.
Hand up. That's on me.
That is true. Also, I've said 100 times that the Oilers and the Knights were the conference final last year.
Yeah, that's why I was really I was really confused. I was really confused there for a second. You had me thrown off.
Pete and I didn't start watching hockey until the Oilers
fired. I remember that conference final quite clearly specifically because of the Jamie Benn
that's right.
Cross check to the back of the head of Mark Stone. And like Ryan Suter had like the worst couple games that you've ever seen from a defenseman in the conference final. So I do remember the Dallas Stars being there. But sorry, my fault on the Seattle Kraken thing. I'm fascinated by the Kraken. I'm fascinated, obviously, by the Oilers. So I feel like this is a must-see TV, especially with the Oilers on the run that they're on. We talked about it earlier this week. I'm rooting so hard for the Oilers to extend this win streak as far as we can possibly go, specifically to that Vegas game where they could tie the record. That would be the biggest game of the season.
In case you missed it yesterday, and Sean, I believe, has the upcoming schedule, the Oilers are currently at 11 games. The record is 17 games set by the 1993 Penguins. Final games before the All-Star break: home against the Kraken tonight, at Calgary, home against Columbus, home against Chicago, home against Nashville. Then they hit the All-Star break. McDavid and Draisaitl hang out with their friends. Zach Hyman goes hunting or something to blow off steam after being snubbed. And then they come back and could tie the record in Vegas during Super Bowl week. We're so far ahead of this. Maybe we're counting our chickens before they hatch. But oh my God, let us get there. Let the Oilers, after firing their coach early in the season because they started so poorly with all these Stanley Cup expectations, let them be the greatest consecutive regular season team in NHL history. I would absolutely love that. And I think it's all doable. Tonight's their biggest test, though, and the Kraken probably have this game circled. A lot of teams, as they play the Oilers, have these games circled. The Leafs gave them a real fit the other night. The Canadians gave them a real fit in Montreal on Saturday, and the Oilers won that game in overtime. But I failed to bring this up yesterday. I kind of feel like the Oilers were galvanized by their 11th straight win. It's tough to be galvanized while you're on a win streak, but I do think coming back against that Leafs team that blows leads all the time, they really felt some because they haven't always had amazing games during this stretch. This, I think, might wake them up and reinvigorate them going into a huge game against the Kraken.
Are we introducing the term ultra galvanized? Like that could be a new level of galvanization. But like to that point, I will bring up kind of a full circle moment where the term galvanized was introduced when the Leafs got a win over which team? The San Jose Sharks? It was like a very bad team.
Early when we first said galvanized?
Yeah, like
Lightning.
When the term galvanized.
They came back against the Lightning, took a lead, blew it,
with a
came back
AHL
and
goaltender.
Won. Yeah.
With an AHL goaltender. So my point to you would be wait until the Oilers have a comeback galvanizing, ultra galvanizing win against a team that's not the Leafs, that is just making an incredible habit of blowing every multi-goal lead that they've ever gotten, like basically in the year of our Lord 2024. So wait until they do it against a team that's not the Leafs is my point.
I'll also note no back-to-backs in these final 6 games before, or I'm sorry, in these final 5 games before the break. After tonight,
How about the big game? Like that's going to be the new big game, not the Super Bowl. It is the big game is Kraken
Thursday,
or Oilers Golden Knights.
Tuesday, February 6th.
Yes.
Pricing tickets as we speak. Tuesday, February 6th. That is, I mean, that's after a long break. It's after the All-Star break. So were you asking about where that fits timing-wise or what? Or just asking if they can win that game?
No, I'm just saying, like, we should call that the big game. Whereas everybody nicknames the Super Bowl the big game because they can't call it the Super Bowl because it's against like copyright or some bullshit that the NFL is crazy about. Yeah. No, the big game is Oilers Golden Knights. So anytime somebody references the big game in Vegas that week, you know who they're talking about.
Oilers Golden Knights? Oh, you mean a Kelly Clarkson concert or something? Bruno Mars? I'm sure Bruno Mars is playing shows that week. Super Bowl week rocks. I have already placed a wager on this game.
I bet. Wait, what?
On tonight's game.
No, I was going to say, like, you can't bet that far in advance.
No, betting on the big game now, you know what that's called? It's called a futures bet. Betting the Oilers to win the big game, that's the futures bet. That's a futures bet.
What are your bets tonight? Because you're famously an oil man parlay expert.
I just did straight Oilers money line. Should I bust out an oil man parlay for this game though?
Yeah, I mean, I always love the oil man parlay, and like you've got a pretty good record as somebody who I don't necessarily trust all your bets, but like if you give me an oil man parlay, I'm probably gonna tail it.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I would say maybe like 25% to 33% of oil man parlays hit, which for a parlay, pretty good. Mm-hmm. And it feels amazing when those things hit. But during the postseason, if anybody's new, during the postseason, I make oil man parlays and I do like the production element of presenting them. That's real.
Yes.
That's where I really make my money. It's a lot of there will be blood imagery, a lot of playing around in Premiere.
Please put out an oil man parlay. I will tell. I'm going to be watching that game. I'm very excited about it. I do want to talk about Macklin Celebrini and the lottery type discussion.
Yes.
Because we've talked about it before on the show. When we were pitching this show, we put together like a pilot or whatever you want to call it, like just basically a proof of concept of what the show would be.
It's a pilot when it's flying, but if it's on the ground, it's called a conductor.
Okay, we put together a conductor episode then, in which we talked about Connor Bedard and the lottery and where we wanted to see him end up and where we thought that he would end up, and we kind of nailed it. We said we wanted him to be in Anaheim. He would end up in Chicago because the league was going to rig the draft, and he was obviously going to be a Blackhawk. We have the receipts. We can put them out eventually, but you'll have to trust us for now. I want to have the same discussion with Max Celebrini because it came to mind after I went to the Blackhawks-Sharks game earlier this week, which was famously the Celebrini Bowl. I have some thoughts about where I want to see Max Celebrini end up, but I'm interested to hear what you think too.
So do I. And let's check in on Macklin Celebrini. He has 29 points in 17 games for Boston University. With 22 points in 10 games, he leads Hockey East in scoring, ahead of the likes of more seasoned players like Cutter Gauthier. Despite being a freshman, he is considered the top player in this draft. He's kind of in a class of his own. We're going to give you some more names after this, but I'm trying to think of how I want to reveal this. I have a place I want to see him go, and it is not Chicago. First, do we look at the players in this, or do we do our mock lottery? Because I can tell you the bottom 11 teams in the NHL right now, and only bottom 11 teams can qualify for the first overall pick. If you win the lottery as like the 14th worst team or whatever, you jump up 10 spots, and then the team with the worst record, in this case the Sharks, would end up having the first overall pick. But the bottom 11 teams are Sharks, Blackhawks, Ducks, Senators, Blue Jackets, Sabres, Wild, Canadiens, Blues, Flames, Kraken. Sean, could you give me Tankathon's tiers of the top players in this draft? You got Macklin Celebrini, number 1 in his own tier. Ivan Demidov, Timmy Turner, my name is Ivan Demidov.
Yes, exactly.
Cole Yzerman, who is committed to play at Boston University next year. He's a left wing. And then the next tier, which is tier 3, you got Sam Dickinson from London of the OHL, Artyom Levshinov, Konsta Helenius, Caden Lindstrom. I love this name. Berkeley Catton. What a name. Then you got Zeev Bayam and
Those are some crazy names.
Anton Silayev. I'll just tell you right now, great names for
Tier 3's names are wild, all over the place. Some of those names just seem like you just slam the keyboard.
There's also, I'm looking, there's a Tej Aginla, and folks, you'll never guess who he's related to. Jerome Aginla. Jerome Aginla's kid is in this draft.
Yeah,
So
that's so exciting.
honestly, if I'm a team with like the 6th pick, I'm doing some brawny shit, and I'm just like taking Jerome Aginla's kid. You know how much egg is going to be on every GM's face if Jerome Aginla's kid ends up being awesome?
Yeah, right.
That was like when the Bruins took Malcolm Subban, and everyone was like, "Oh, why do you do that?" And I was like, because every player in this draft sucks, and if a Subban kid ends up being good and you pass on him in the first round, you're a fucking idiot. So you might as well take the Subban kid. Where do you want to see? Do you want to do like a mock top 5? Because I have a mock lottery ready to go here.
Like when you say mock lottery, you mean like just destinations that you want to see for?
Like where do you like? How do you want to see the top 5 play
list
out in the lottery, not in the draft?
I have a top 5 list of destinations that I would be most intrigued for Celebrini to end up. That's
okay,
really
so
like
you do that. What I have is different, so you can do that.
Okay, yeah, because like I don't really know or care too much about the players behind Celebrini minus Cole Yzerman, because Cole Yzerman has a soft spot in my heart. I met him in Nashville this summer. He was super, super nice. He's from Massachusetts. He nice BU kid. So I love Cole Yzerman. I want Cole Yzerman to end up with the Chicago Blackhawks to play alongside Connor Bedard. That would rock me. Yzerman has an awesome shot. He scored like 70 goals for the U.S. National Development Program. So Yzerman and Blackhawk sweater would be incredible to me. But in terms of just my Celebrini destinations, number 5, Sean's going to love this one. I have the Buffalo Sabres, because the Buffalo Sabres, for how depressing this season has been after the hype, ending up with Celebrini would be awesome. And just like, obviously the longest playoff drought, the NHL is in a better spot when the Buffalo Sabres and Buffalo fans are in the mix. And the drought, just give them the first overall pick for as many years as you need to until they can get back into the playoffs. Give them the Edmonton Oilers treatment. I know that they've got Dahlin. I know they've got Owen Power. They've hit those first overall picks, and it hasn't made a difference. Just keep going until you get them in the playoffs. Number 4, I have the Blackhawks, because it would be funny. It would be hilarious if the Blackhawks just got back-to-back lottery wins immediately after losing Kane and Taves. How funny would that be? Just run it back. Plus, Connor Bedard needs the help. He absolutely needs the help. Give him as many good players as you possibly can. Plus, the rest of the league would burn to the ground. So Blackhawks at number 4 for me. Number 3, maybe a little bit of a controversial pick as a Bruins fan, but the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal Canadiens getting Max Celebrini. It's sort of the case with the Buffalo Sabres too. Like, the NHL is so much better when the Montreal Canadiens are relevant, and I want the Bruins Habs rivalry to have some juice back into it. We've seen like a little bit of light reinvigoration in terms of that rivalry, but like it needs to be back on a full scale. So I do want the Canadiens to be good so that I can hate them. It's kind of
So do I.
impossible to hate them right now.
So do I. I'm going to interject there.
Yeah.
If that happens, the Canadians would not be able to win the lottery again for a little while, right?
Yeah, I think, well,
Can't win the
yeah, true,
lottery.
because they got Slavkovsky. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's fine.
A lot of people forget he's a first overall
I
pick.
know. I know.
And maybe that's why you don't care about the Canadians so much right now.
Yeah. So
He scored a cool goal yesterday, though, because
I know, like, I think Slavkovsky is still has the opportunity to be a very good player. So I don't want to fully slander that name, but man, tough year to win the lottery. Tough year to win the lottery if you're a Canadians fan. Number 2, this one I feel pretty strongly about. The Minnesota Wild. Max Celebrini going to the Minnesota Wild would be really, really cool, just because we talk about it. The Wild have been around forever, and they've never had a true identity. They've never had like, damn, holy shit, this guy plays for the Wild. This is like a true superstar on the Wild. I know they've had Zach Parise. I know they've had Ryan Suter. Good players. Like, they're a huge splash when they signed both those guys on the same day in free agency. But like, that was the most exciting day in Minnesota Wild history. And given where it led them, where they ended up, if that's the most exciting day in your franchise history, that's a really, really tough and pathetic franchise history.
I'm going to push back. That's not the most exciting day in their franchise history.
What's the most exciting day in Minnesota Wild franchise history?
Just like any day that they had Marian Gaborik on the team. They were so fun back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, like, Gabo was so fun,
yeah.
but like,
they were like a good playoff team for a while.
A good playoff team that never won playoff rounds.
Yeah, hell yeah.
They just immediately they had some really good regular seasons and would always end up getting bounced immediately. So depressing.
Give me your number one.
I still think the July 1st dual signing of those two guys, or is it July 1st or was it July 4th? May have been July 4th. But like, that was the most exciting day in Minnesota Wild franchise history. Getting Max Celebrini, I think, would upset that and put them back in the top. I just want the Wild to have some star power, have some identity. Celebrini would do that for them. And then number 1, not that shocking, the San Jose Sharks. The San Jose Sharks are so goddamn depressing, man. They're in such a bleak spot right now. And like, you look at the Battle of California, the Kings have, it hasn't been going well for them recently, but got a pretty bright future. I think you could say the same about the Anaheim Ducks. Not great right now, but like, they got a really good pipeline. Sharks really don't have much to look forward to right now. And they don't have a star. Like, you can say Tomas Hertl, you can say Eklund, but like, who is really kind of their light at the end of the tunnel right now?
Well, we agree on that, because here's my mock top 5. I'm going to do it's a mock lottery with some picks attached to it, because I just learned about these players. One of the players in particular, I love. I think the sky's the limit for one of these guys. I'll tell you all about it. With the first overall pick, the Sharks win the lottery and take Macklin Celebrini. I'm in complete agreement there. I want the Sharks to have a stud. I don't want Celebrini to end up in Ottawa or something like that. I'm actually quite concerned about that. Send him to the Sharks. Keep Quinny there. We've seen good runs from the Sharks even this season. So give them Celebrini. They have a good, excited fan base. Inject some life into that, please. With the second overall pick, I'm very passionate about this. The Hawks get number 2 and take Ivan Demidov, Doug Dimmadome, play him at right wing or center, whatever, who cares. All these great tandems pair a North American stud with a European stud. Crosby, Malkin, fucking McDavid, Draisaitl. Don't care about any other ones. It would be awesome if the two studs for Chicago, you got Demidov and you got Bedard. I would absolutely love that. And if he plays on the wing, you could play them together and it would be an amazing time. That power play would be fantastic. I also just really like that guy's name. Ducks get the third pick, take Sam Dickinson, replenish that defensive pipeline. Dickinson. I'm going to kill you. It's Dickinson.
It wasn't on the graphic that we showed earlier.
Well, then Sean's done.
Okay,
What does
Sean's
the graphic
fired.
say? Sean, Pete might have blown up your spot. What does the
Maybe.
graphic
Sorry.
say?
Let me copy and paste, so I had to hand type all the names. It does say Dixon. Hand up. Sorry, Sam.
I'm angrier at Pete.
Agreed. We
Well, I mean,
He blew up your spot. Yeah.
well, I mean,
I did blow
guess,
up your spot, but I'm just being honest. Like I don't know these guys from a hole in the wall, John Tortorella voice. So I'm just going off the graphic that we showed. I'm not like a prospects guy, so I don't really know Sam Dickinson. Apologies.
No. Pete was right to call it out. That's if I don't make the mistake, then we're not in the situation to begin with.
Professionalism rankings.
Hand up.
DJ 1, Sean 2, Pete tied with
Sean doesn't
2.
get the number 2 ranking when he got it
I made the
wrong.
mistake.
You guys both fucked up bad. You guys
We
both
did, yeah.
fucked up bad. That's
Hand
okay.
up.
I did not put my teammate Pete in a position to succeed. So
Fair.
that's on me. I deserve number 3.
But I mean, Ducks having a defenseman, he'll probably be in trade rumors for a million years, maybe even get traded. That's just what happens with the Ducks. When teams need a defenseman, they're like, I don't know who the Ducks have. They go get that guy. With the 4th pick,
Except if it's Cam Fowler. We have not mentioned how it's unbelievable that Cam Fowler still plays for the Ducks.
yes, we have. It was like one of
Have
our
we?
first. Didn't we? That was like one of the first show topics. I said we do. I said we do surprising lifers.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever
definitely-
did that though.
It's definitely you've definitely mentioned before that like the I can't believe you're still on the team.
I think we did it before a show one time.
Yeah,
It was
we did.
just like,
We did
yeah.
have that conversation before early on. I do remember that.
surprising lifers. Cam Fowler, number 1 on the list.
Because that's
with
when I brought up the Latvian locomotives.
Yep.
Zemgus Girgensson.
The 4th pick goes to the Blue Jackets, and they take Cole Iserman. Can't have enough forwards named Cole, and
Yeah, but he
just
doesn't
can't-
play at Michigan.
Yeah,
Plays at
that's
BU.
true. Although there is, hold on, let me pull up this.
Michael Hage is the top ranked prospect that is committed to Michigan. he's
But
the
what
27th
about
prospect.
Artyom Levshinov, the defenseman from
no.
Michigan State?
That's a big no-no. Can't
Maybe-
do that.
Maybe crack some heads.
That kid would get his ass kicked in the locker room every single day.
By whom? Fucking Adam
Every
Fantilli's
player
gonna beat
from
him up.
the Michigan Wolverines.
Those guys aren't gonna beat him up.
We're talking about a 6'2"
Yeah.
Belarusian. I'm
Okay,
I'm
fair.
not-
No
I don't
offense,
want that
Adam
smoke.
Fantilli's not beating that guy up.
Zach Werenski, kind-hearted gentleman. I don't see him
Yeah,
kind
Werenski's
of
too
mixing it up
nice.
either.
I'm
what
not
is-
to call
what
those
is-
guys
what is-
soft. I'm just saying they're not going to beat up one of their teammates.
But not to get too political here. What is Belarus's relationship? They're very friendly with Russia, aren't they? Because that would be big for the Russian line. I'm pretty sure Belarus is pro-Russia.
And the 5th pick, I don't care. But the one note I'll say, I want Doug Dimmadome if he doesn't go to the Hawks. I want him to go to the Senators because you'll notice none of us are awarding the Senators any of these high picks. I think something that could make the Senators interesting is to give them an international star. Right? You don't want like I don't want Celebrini to go be stuck in Ottawa. I want like a player that I didn't previously know about to go and reinvent that place. And I think Doug is the guy to do it.
They already have an international star.
We've been told we did talk about the surprising lifers.
Timmy Stützle. He's an international star.
That is true.
German king.
I do
So
like
like
Stützle. Yeah.
So they already
what's
have
better than one.
I
too?
just right now I feel like the Ottawa Senators deserve nothing. Like
Agreed.
that's my stance on Ottawa is that they have chunked it so bad in terms of like they have talent there and they continuously go out and make plays to become relevant and they just somehow keep getting worse. So at this point I feel like they don't deserve shit. Especially if Andlauer's not getting in front of a microphone.
That's what.
That's the thing. Like, I think that Andlauer should be punished for what a coward he's been.
If Andlauer comes out and puts together like a campaign tape and he gets behind the microphone and he makes his case as to why the Ottawa Senators deserve the number 1 overall pick, they deserve Macklin Celebrini, I'll move off my stance and I'll pretty much be in the Ottawa Senators corner. But until he shows his face, he's a coward to me and I'm out on the Ottawa Senators and Michael Andlauer.
Why have we not tried to get Andlauer on the show? Like because like my thing is like I don't think he knows how much we need him.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think he's aware of the importance that he has. So somebody needs to tell him that. And I also think him on this show could be potentially very hilarious.
We should go to like the Board of Governors meeting or some shit like that.
No, just like a stockholders meeting for some other company that he probably owns because he's a billionaire.
Yeah, stake him
and
out.
Just show up and be like, you gotta have all these people talking about like IPOs and shit. I don't know much about business, and we're gonna be like, "Did you do shit?"
It does
I'm more of an
surprise me you don't know
IPAs
about
guy.
IPOs, but we should get him. I think that we can do it. Now, that concludes that conversation. Let's grab a little ass. Joe Thornton's number is being retired by the Sharks. Love that so much. It's so the number 19 is just kind of burned in my brain. I grew up. I mean, Joe Thornton got drafted when I was like smack dab in being a hockey fan. And the fact that like wore 19 in Boston, he ends up leaving. That becomes kind of a curse number in Boston, where guys who wear 19, just weird shit happens to them. Sagan ended up wearing it. So this number that was probably supposed to be retired in Boston ends up being kind of cursed here. And now he goes, has this wonderful career, wins Hart the year that he was traded, and they are retiring 19 in San Jose. It's just weird as fuck, but I love Joe Thornton so much.
I love Joe Thornton so much, and one of my biggest regrets as a hockey fan is that he never scored 4 goals in a game. Like that,
I just see the penis.
I wanted to see the penis so bad. I wanted the rooster trick, and I'm so glad. Like Joe Thornton is one of my favorite players of all time. I'm so glad that he's going to get his flowers in San Jose. It's absolutely deserved. I did see a graphic yesterday about like every NHL team's last MVP, and they had Joe Thornton listed for the Bruins, and I was like, that doesn't fucking count.
It doesn't. I think that technically because he did play for both teams.
Right. Yeah, he's the last MVP to play for 2 teams in a year in which he was one Hart.
He's the only.
Is he the only guy? That would
that
make
had
sense.
Never happened. That compounded the shit that the Bruins got that year. People fucking killed the Bruins for that trade, and like it was historically bad. And that was what really was the
I just found it weird. Like if
Sunday that Mike O'Connell made.
If you don't finish the year with that team, you don't get credit for like that player being your MVP. Like Joe Thornton won the MVP because he played for the Sharks that year, not because he played for the Bruins.
He was having an awesome year for the Bruins, though.
He was having an awesome year for the Bruins, but like the Bruins were a terrible team, and he probably wasn't going to stack as many points as he did in the latter half of the year with San Jose.
They weren't a terrible team, if memory serves. They like were just kind of schmeh and needed some. They felt they needed some sort of shakeup, so they traded their best player. They ended up finishing horribly and trading like Sergei Samsonov after, but they did. I don't think they were terrible at the time. Speaking of flowers, Pat McAfee offered Marc-Andre Fleury $250,000 to score a goal. I wish he offered him like, hey, if you score a goal, I'll take AJ Hawk off my show.
I mean, is AJ Hawk even really on that show?
No.
I've wanted to for quite some time to just do a 3-box here for this show and just have AJ Hawk's still image right next to us as we do the show, and nobody would even be able to tell the difference if he was here or not. Because that's his role for the Pat McAfee show, is he just looks into the camera, does some weird shit, and never says anything.
That was the idea when we had to do remote, and we were like, well, how many bucks should we do? And the suggestion was 3, have AJ Hawk on the right. We didn't end up doing it. The other proposal was to just get somebody looking into the camera and loop it just have them look 5 minutes straight and just loop it and create that fucking nightmare that is watching AJ Hawk on the Pat McAfee show. But I don't know. Pat McAfee likes some hockey, at least. This is like the least hot water he's been in the last couple of weeks. I just can't knock it.
I dislike that. Like, I think it's good that Pat McAfee is talking about hockey. Obviously, I think that like I want more people to talk about hockey. So I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to gatekeep hockey or whatever. I hate that like people treat him like a hero because he mentions hockey sometimes on his show and like does it on ESPN. It weirds me out that like people throw flowers at him every time he has a hockey guest on.
People treat us as heroes because we talk about football on our show.
That's true. We're changing the game.
We're growing the game of football, which is pretty nice of us.
Right. We talk about a lot on the show. Like we cover everything. We cover politics and race and football and baseball sometimes.
Lotta today on What Chaos? Politics and race. Shit like that, Shall we spin a wheel? Say some things. We don't have a specialty wheel today. We just have some good old-fashioned spin the wheel and talk. Let's have Pete go first. Pete, let's spin the wheel.
All right.
Spin that
Who
wheel
do we
for
got?
Dave. Spin that wheel
Who
for
do we
Pete.
got?
Say something about the Panthers.
The Florida Panthers. Sam Reinhart, man, is going to be so rich. That guy rocks, by the way. Saw that he has scored a special teams goal. My guy, Dmitry Filipovich, put out a nice little tweet yesterday pointing out that Sam Reinhart has scored like a special teams goal in each of his last 11 of his last like 12 games or something like that. And a bunch of them have been shorthanded. He had a shorthanded goal last night. Sam Reinhart, like, you can make the case that playing with Alexander Barkov has really kind of like inflated his worth or whatever. But shout out to Sam Reinhart for really hitting that contract year. Like he goes like Hulk mode or whatever. He's going to be so rich. And I think Sam Reinhart rocks.
Where will he be rich? In Florida? I think Florida.
I hope so. Yeah.
Sean, do me a favor. Spin the wheel for yourself.
Ooh.
Spin it. Spin it.
No way.
Say something about the Red Wings.
I thought it was going to be the Stars again. I was going to be nice for this time. The Detroit Red Wings. I respect the Red Wings. I grew up as a Red Wings fan, kind of, because my best friend was a Red Wings fan. I don't really have a whole lot to say since you spent a whole lot of time talking about them already. I will say I am very pro a revenge tour, and so I really like seeing Alex Lyon beat his old team. Beat his old team yesterday. I appreciate when a guy, not that he was like disrespected, but obviously, they moved on from him. They have Bob, but
I'll tell you what.
Got to get revenge.
I'll tell you what. Alex Lyon can go to hell if you ask me, because Alex Lyon got the Florida Panthers into the playoffs last year, and I'll tell you whose experience I didn't enjoy in the playoffs last year. The presence of the Florida Panthers.
Oh no! Once the Panthers knocked the Bruins out, I was all over them. Loved them. I kept betting them, doing well on them. Loved Matthew Tkachuk. Loved how horny Biz was for them. I really enjoyed the Panthers experience.
Line's been very good this year, too. He's currently, shout out the ticker, top 5 in save percentage amongst goalies in the NHL. So,
as first reported by the ticker.
Thank you. By the ticker, yes.
Sean, at your earliest convenience, spin me the wheel. Spin it for me. That's how John Travolta would ask for it. Ooh.
Back-to-back Dallas Stars.
The Dallas Stars. Let me tell you something about the Dallas Stars. The Dallas Buyers Club is a movie in which Matthew McConaughey says, all right. And Matthew McConaughey is famously co-owner of the Texas Longhorns. Bijan Robinson used to play for them. He now plays for the Atlanta Falcons. And folks, it appears he's going to be coached by Bill Belichick. So that's your football news and your Dallas Stars update here on What Chaos. I'm DJ Bean. How about that?
I was thinking about this yesterday after I shit talked the Dallas Stars. Is there a playoff team, like a team that has been in a top 3 spot in their division all year that has been talked about less than the Dallas Stars? Because
it happens so much. It happens so. The Dallas Stars are consistently good, and nobody wants to talk about them, including me.
I don't think anyone, because we joke about like other boring teams, but like easily the least talked about team that has been good all year, I would say.
The only time that me and DJ ever talk about the Dallas Stars is when we try to determine how to pronounce Rupa Hintz. We have a lot of talk about Rupa Hintz. Rupa Hintz is an incredibly electric player, and I feel like he would be talked about so much more if he played for anybody except the Dallas Stars.
Rupa
Hintz.
Yeah, he's the best. Love that guy. But that is your Dallas Stars update. I think we have some good options. I don't know if we have any good options for reels today, but we have some good options for like show clips on Twitter.
I feel like the Pete's
he
wants to see Macklin go.
If you notice, I'm big, especially when we do remote stuff. I'm big on non-verbal agreement.
So
I'll do like a lot of like,
yeah.
And it's all.
I'm just excited. I'm just excited to be back in studio next week. I love Chicago, but I love it's a different situation. Like, I like being in the office. I like being in the studio, and I believe we have a big moment. We have a big moment on Monday when we're back in studio. You'll find that out next show. Studio might look a little different.
Maybe
Please
a little
get
bit.
everybody you can to subscribe on YouTube. At some point, maybe in the next week, I want to do some sort of YouTube specific special thing. I can't sleep at night. All I think about is how cool it's going to be when the YouTube numbers get bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm thinking about all the many things we can do. So please, everybody, if you're listening, subscribe on YouTube. I put the link on Twitter and in my Instagram story from time to time, but you can just head to youtube.com/@whatchaosshow. Just smash that button. It is amazing. It gives you all the best content and it's free. It's a good time. We've got a great week of stuff next week coming up, including an interview with a star young player who's got a birthday. Pretty exciting stuff.
He's not an all-star. He's a
Not an
star, but he's
all-star.
not an all-star. He's famously not an all-star. Didn't
Speaking
want to
of-
be an all-star.
Of birthdays, by the way, I have to shout out PHNX's Steve Peters. Petey's birthday is today.
Petey's
Petey.
birthday. Hey.
Oh.
Congratulations to him. Congratulations to everybody who listened this week. It was a strong week in football, politics, and race. We will be back with more of it next week on What Chaos. Check the Twitter for an Oil Man parlay. Bye-bye.
We all silly like the mayor.